Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Rika.
And Big Boy Summer here bringing you My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex. Hot or not?
Creativity. Come on, the creativity comes from the title. Like, your ex is now your step-sibling. Like, I haven't seen anything like that. What the hell? Looking at Big Boy Summer's face, it looks like it's his fantasy. Just saying.
Can you not? Okay, what the... Look. Let me get this out there properly.
Oh my god, pull yourself together.
Shut up. Look, it's weird for an anime to be like this. An anime to be like this. Dealing with step siblings and step whatever isn't normally in the realm of anime, so I can see where Ruka's going with this.
Entertainment. This massively comes from the agreement that they both make over their argument of who is the youngest, because, you know, both of them want to be the oldest sibling. Technically, Yume is older because she was born 35 minutes before. It should be a no-brainer, but Mizuto fights her on it. So they decide to make a deal that whenever one of them acts as if they are not siblings, then they have to concede at that moment that they are the youngest. So this takes part in mostly innocent things, although one incident turns out to be not so innocent. In the end, it was all innocent on their part, where they were, you know, trying to get each other to concede.
So my entertainment is from their interactions and how they keep insulting each other and yet really care for each other. And it's weird because looking at it, that's your ex, and those feelings obviously haven't gone away completely, and they're trying to divert them feelings into more disdain and pettiness and whatever. But when push comes to shove, you can tell that they care about each other and clearly care about each other as well. From an emotional standpoint, it's a weird place to be. It's like trying to be friends with your ex or trying to work with your ex or something like that. It just so happens that they live under the same roof. It's weird.
Character development. So Mizuto seems like he doesn't actually care about anything, one way or the other, anything at all. The only thing that seems to elicit any kind of emotion out of him is actually Yume, which is really odd. I'm not sure if this is going to be indicative of his character at large, but he doesn't seem to experience emotions the way everybody else does. He just buries himself in his books. I mean, his room is a library. It's a legitimate library. It looked like it was probably manga. It was color coordinated. It was probably alphabetized.
Why not just say alphabetical? Like,
it was also alphabetized as well.
Double down, huh?
He had like a moving shelf to get, like, this guy's into his books. He called Yume a nerd the whole way through and then got shocked that her grades were better than his. That was wild to me. I didn't get that at all. And you're sitting here with a library in your room. Okay, whatever. Yume is really his arch nemesis. This is probably why they couldn't work out when they were younger. Her grades are better than his. She's older than him. She got class representative. She seems like the literal perfect child. Everything is together. She's likable, she's popular, and she also seems as if she wants Mizuto to show reactions. That whole thing that I said about his character where he doesn't seem like he gets riled up by anything, that seems to really bother her as well, and she wants him to have reactions, which makes her do kind of extreme things. Of both of their characters, I like how each of them are looking at the other person on how they used to be and how they are now, and obviously they're probably going through all they've gone through puberty. They've changed, they're becoming into their adult selves, and so they're looking at each other, but it's a different person that they're looking at, but they still like each other. I like that about the anime.
So in terms of character development, other than what Ruka said, which is actually spot on, I want to talk more about how weird it is that they see that their flaws are in each other. So they keep blaming each other for the way that they feel, the way that they act, the way that they move, the things that they do, and it's kind of cute. And like, if you don't realize that you two actually like each other now, I don't know what the hell's going on. And also, both of them taking the virtuous route of being okay so that their parents can be happy, it's a little bit sad. And that's a lot to put on two children who are growing into adults. And having that as part of the whole multiple set of problems that come along with figuring out who you are, figuring out who you like, figuring out school, and having your parents' relationships sort of in your hands, whether it's in your heads or not, is a kind of cool take on how to create character. And you feel it throughout the whole episode that no matter what's happened, the only thing that they both have agreed on is that they have to make it work for the parents. And I think it brings a different level of insight into how their interactions actually are. Could you imagine that the parents were not a factor? They could probably heal properly. They might see each other later on when they're more stable and more well into themselves. They are now being forced to deal with their fallout. We still don't know why they broke up in the first place. There are some hints. Yume saying that Mizuto is very indifferent, and him saying that she's a geek. Sorry, a nerd. There is a difference, guys. There's a difference between nerds and geeks, and I'll get into that later. And so I find it really interesting that the authors have come up with this very specific set of circumstances in order to show characterization here.
World building. So I would say that the world is very small, but unlike most of these anime that are in a school setting, it doesn't feel small because they're just in school. It actually feels small because the problems that they're currently dealing with, they're problems that teenagers deal with. So I thought that was really clever. So it's split between the school life and their home life, but they show you that it's like sort of teenage problems through the conversations that they're continuing to have. Even when they're in a different setting, they're still talking about school. They talk about their grades, their parents coming home late and having to cook and things like that.
So in terms of world building, this is probably one of the few animes that actually benefit from being a small world. I mean, when you set very, very specific parameters like this in terms of your situational comedy, in terms of the story that you're trying to tell, you don't really need a lot. You just need the two characters involved to express themselves and interact with each other and have little glimpses of interacting with the wider world. It being set in the real world doesn't really matter in this case. Them going through their normal mundane lives with a heavy burden on their shoulders and a very mild or big inconvenience. It's done in a way that fits, I think.
Plot execution, I would say that really the goal is small at this point. They have to act in a sibling way in order to make sure that their parents stay happy, and then they've got their little mini fight that's going on who's the older sibling, as we already mentioned.
To the verdict?
Creativity hot or not?
It's an absolute hot for me because it's step siblings or whatever, which is not an anime thing normally, but it's normally illustrated in different forms of Japanese art, I guess. But it's the whole burden of you feeling responsible for things you really shouldn't, and I like watching it through that veil.
I thought it was a heart because it's weird. I haven't seen anything like this in an anime. It's super weird. And it also reminds me of a story that I heard when I was a lot younger, where these kids were dating each other. And their parents knew they were dating each other, met each other and decided they wanted to be together and got married and said, too bad, you guys are only kids, so you should break up because we deserve to be happy. And I think I like it more because I was outraged when I heard that story, like, that's not fair, come on. And it just kind of gives me that kind of vibe, but a nicer version. Entertainment, hot or not?
It was thoroughly entertaining. Their interactions with each other, them standing up and apologizing and being thankful, and all the weird roller coasters that go with just living your life, I thought was done brilliantly and kept me thoroughly entertained.
I was entertained, although the world was really small and they only introduced us properly to two characters. They did a lot with the characters that they had, and I also can see that they're going to have a lot of other interactions with other people. I don't think it's going to stay feeling as small as it feels, even though it works for the anime. I was entertained by the way they handled the whole subject matter. Character development, hot or not?
So for me, it's a hot. I like the very two distinct characters that you have. You've got a geek and you've got a nerd. Now, the difference between geeks and nerds are geeks are obsessed and have an above average intelligence. So hence why Mizuto has a book collection that rivals some small library. Nerds are obsessed, have an above average intelligence, but socially awkward. And it was alluded to that she used to be socially awkward, but she herself admitted that she actually worked very hard in order to be the representative. But I saw it as her working very hard to reinvent herself, like Mizuto suggested.
This one's a hot as well for me, although I feel like they could have done more with the time they had, considering it was just two characters, and I'm expecting more from their characters as well. I'm expecting a lot of growth. World building, hot or not?
World building for me is a hot. I mean, I don't feel like it could have been done anywhere else. It had to be like this.
World building, I say, is a hot as well. I like the way that they handled the world. Plot execution, hot or not?
I have to sort of say it's a not for me. I don't really know what's going on in terms of the future of the anime, but that's why.
I have to agree with you. This section's a not for me as well, because I'm not sure if that plot is going to stay the plot. I don't know. It feels a little bit small for it to carry a whole season. So there you have it. Both of us have gone for 4 out of 5 hots. So we're enjoying this one. We think it's going to be great. This anime season has already been fantastic.
Definitely. If you made it this far, we really do appreciate you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Peace.